Alright guys, welcome back to the ALGS channel. Hope you guys are all doing well and having a great day so far. A lot to discuss in today's video. As we saw last night in some of the scrim matches, a lot of rosters being updated. Now, of course, this is all in trial and error period, but you can see which organizations and which teams are deciding to play with which players. You've also had the infamous contest that we've been worried about for TSM and Oxygen. Last time these two guys battled it out, it was a near 50-50 percentage at Lava Siphon, but unfortunately this time it went really bad for one team. We'll talk about which team that was in just a second. Also, we've got some prominent rosters showing very good signs early on with their new change, and jmeyels even making it into the scrims last night. Crazy stuff in today's video. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you guys want to stay up to date all things ALGS related. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into this. First thing I want to make mention of, coming from Luminosity in first place, actually coming from Minus Tempo, running these oversight scrims last night, of course, but Luminosity doing an incredible job. 128 points on the night, by far number one. Meat Lovers in second. Meat Lovers, honestly, every single squad in this latest scrim has been pretty inconsistent because of Olympus and because of all the legend changes and who's going to play what on Olympus and a lot of sporadic decisions, right? Everything's been changing, everything's been updating, and I personally think that these squads will continuously get better and more consistent as time progresses. But of course, we're hitting Olympus hard right now, so we'll see obviously what changes soon. Meat Lovers in second, though, very good for them. Hopefully they can keep this up. Yummy Boys is probably the big one that most people are talking about. Now, Yummy Boys in third place, and this is the first roster change that we need to make mention of. You can see down here in the bottom right, this is Madness, this is Keon, and this is, of course, Vaxlon. Vaxlon, obviously former 100 Thieves roster. This is actually a reunition, I guess. That was a reunition, a reunion, I guess, of the former CLG, so says Madness. And I really think that this roster has a lot of firepower, and you can see that it obviously is taking place, getting third place. Hopefully they can keep it up. But also, you need to mention second place, or second team here, Monsoon Funk, and guess who it is? DarkZero's finest, Zainu, of course, unfortunately released from that roster just yesterday that we discussed, and now playing on Team Complexity. Not a good showing for them, though. Still did not get the placement that they wanted. Lastly, you could see another roster change is coming from DNO. DNO, in my opinion, has one of the best roster changes here. I actually really like this move for them. On paper, it makes sense. On paper, they should do good, but sadly, we did not see that last night. Capra playing with DNO. Like I said, we'll see if it all works out in the end, but it did not show good, as DNO in 14th and Complexity in 16th. Neither one of those roster changes seem to have actually helped those squads. But you can see another team that we need to talk about, the infamous contest that took place, TSM versus Oxygen. Oxygen in nearly dead last, contesting TSM in nearly all the games, and I actually had to leave early, so I don't know if they actually finished those contests out, but they were supposed to contest every single game at Energy Depot. They were supposed to contest every single game at Lava Siphon, and every single Lava Siphon game that I watched, they lost. The one Olympus game that I watched, they were not doing good either, and unfortunately, what seemed to be Don't Chow the BR Demons is no longer the case at this point in time, but we'll see if they decide to keep this going. Now, Oxygen did say in Reddit, on a Reddit post, read specifically, that they have no plans to back off of this POI regardless. Now, if it's going really poorly for them, surely they decide to move on, but we'll just have to keep it updated and see what actually changes pretty soon. It was getting so bad, though, I kind of felt bad because, you know, just like I said last night, you know, in a DM as well, when you're in the ALGS scene, it's totally different from my main channel. The main channel, you know, you make a mistake or something happens or you upset someone, it's a smaller decision. It's not that big of a deal. People move on. But in the competitive scene, these guys are so passionate. The fans are so passionate, and you can even see from chat and Oxygen, these guys were getting so much hate because of TSM fans going over there and not being happy with them at all. And so it's just amplified when you're on the ALGS scene, man. It gets crazy. But this was Vane's chat last night, you know, like ha ha ha, laughing at you. TSM's just better. Get ready to watch party and all of this stuff, you know. Gotta put it in sleep mode. So obviously these guys are just stop contesting. Are you the next kick? So sadly, a lot of hate was coming through. You could also see, you know, Hal's actual chat was getting banned from the mods there because of them talking about Vane and going and chat hopping and stuff. So it was good to see, obviously, both players or both teams, both orgs, both streams, both mods trying to keep things cordial, trying to keep things nice, and hopefully, you know, things get better for Oxygen. I hate to see them not do too good in this one because they're still the boys at the end of the day. Now, I woke up this morning and things had got progressively worse, but it was pretty funny to see as well. I tweeted out last night that I'll be refereeing Imperial Hal versus Thornton Smash in a UFC fight tomorrow in the Copper Box Arena. this was hilarious because you had a lot of aggravation coming from these two threads. Basically, Raven started it off by saying maybe after 500 lands, put on the front cover of People magazine and get the Nobel Peace Prize personally handed to us by resurrected Nelson Mandela, we will finally stop being contested. What do you guys think? And then you had a lot of people commenting, including Tech, saying, look, he's tweeted at you now. Thornton Smash, the ball is in your court. Thornton responded by saying, nah, sounds like they are staying. Good job to TSM and the boys today, but it's just preseason. Our job isn't to make other teams' jobs easier. Imperial House said you're supposed to keep your jobs to do that first. And then here we go with the arguments. Thornton Smash, I retired when I was 26. My job is fine, and so is theirs. Hal said, I've heard that before. Thornton Smash, that's an oddly specific combo to have heard one time before. Then you had Thornton going on his own thread. The idea that you won a championship in Apex Legends, so therefore a POI belongs to you without having to fight for it is weird. Like, imagine a team wins the Super Bowl, so all games next year there's no coin toss because they auto get it every time. Then Imperial How comes to this one as well and responds and says, we fight teams before every LAN and it's always been the same outcome for 4 years straight, and people still don't get it, which is the problem because of delusion. Thornton responded and said, then do it again. If you have never had a problem with it, there's no issue with doing it again. There should be no consequence for you from running it back, and this whole debate and topic is pointless. It's to your status quo. Then him and Raven go at it again, but nonetheless, like, the idea, the topic that everyone seems to kind of get out of this is the fact that yes, you do have TSM, the #1 team in the world right now, probably. And then you also have the fact that they've pretty much always won their contest, and any team that contests them does get a lot of hate from a lot of the fans. And then also they normally lose on top of that. So Oxygen is the only team that I can remember in like recent history that has actually put up a fight, but last night was no fight at all. But it is just like the first time we've seen this. Of course, this will progress over time, and we'll see if this gets any better. Now, TSM obviously is not entitled to a POI. You know, just because they win all the time doesn't mean they get to complain about it. It's a part of the game. Honestly, I feel like the better thing to do is to complain the fact that, you know, Apex BR, maybe we shouldn't even contest. We should have better maps, better loot, better reason to not contest, but that's just not the case. You have to contest for good POIs, and Oxygen is not afraid to do that. And of course, we're going to have to see better results if they're going to win any of this, because TSM otherwise will just roll this terribly. Also wanted to mention DarkZero. Of course, we have not mentioned their new roster and who it could potentially be. We did write an article on apexglobalseries.com if you guys want to go check it out in more detail. But basically, I did a Twitter poll last night, and I did ask a lot of fans, and I said, what do you guys specifically think is going to happen for the DarkZero camp, and who do you think is the most likely to join? Now, of this poll that I took, you could see Guild in a first place by far. 45% of people think so. Waltzy in a 30%, nearly 29.3, and Zane at 14.6. Some others said that, you know, like Meat Lovers is going to get someone poached, like maybe Lux or something like that. But most people think it's Guild. Now, in the comments, you'll see a total different story. Most people don't think. They actually think it's going to be Waltzy, which would be an interesting change also. So, from this specific article, the most prominent is Guild, the North American controller sensation, Zane, the EMEA controller prodigy, and Waltzy, the APAC South region. Now, the reason I really want to harp on Waltzy here is because from multiple sources, and you can see even in the comments, that Zero has wanted to play with Waltzy. That's the you know, determining factor over all of these so far, in my opinion. Personally, I think Guild might be the best player out of all three of these. He might be the most cracked player. But Waltzy's a guy that Zero has wanted to play with quite some time, and Zero being, you know, kind of the lead of that roster, he's going to be the guy that has the leeway. Him and Jin are going to be able to get whoever they really want. I mean, they have pick of the litter. They are such good, talented players that have such good reputations as far as being, you know, like top players. They are going to get the pick of the litter, and I think Waltzy is, if that's who they want, which it seems like it could be, then it will happen. But obviously there's some outliers. Things are not always you know, going to go according to plan, but we'll see if that happens, and we'll keep this roster up to date. But so far, those are the three most likely to join this new DarkZero roster. Interested to see if you guys personally agree down in the comment section below. And if you guys want to stay up to date, all things ALGS related and esports news, of course, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you all in the next one. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, we'll see you all later, Gators.
Get the bin, and you guys are both in the building.
Yo,
why
is jmeyels playing with Naughty and Retzy?
Who? jmeyels? Yeah, jmeyels.
jmeyels. Why is jmeyels?
Jmail. Gmail.